Dave, did we have a good December?
I mean, some were better than others. Welcome back to another edition of Bourbon Kingdom. I'm David.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are doing our December whiskey haul.
Yeah, end of the year allocation is always kind of like a big thing for us around here locally.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was even bigger for our market because the whole Republic losing out on Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of stuff actually hit more than normal.
Yeah.
But overall, like, it was a crazy month, and we missed a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah.
Like we missed GTS going out.
Yes, we missed GTS.
But it was a crazy, great month overall for us.
Yeah.
On the channel.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to lead?
Sure.
So I finally got the bottle.
He bought in September, but it finally got here.
A Midwinter Night's Dram, Act 10, Scene 3. Shout out to High West. I emailed them after the whole issue I had with UPS, which I still question a lot of that on the UPS side, if I'm being honest. But emailed them. They were fantastic. They went and pulled one for me, and they resent it to me and was like super cool about everything.
Yeah.
Just huge shout out to High West because it's just flat out awesome that they even sent us one.
Yeah.
I had a little bit more than Dave this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of go a couple times.
Which is fine. You all know. Hey, you all know how Zach works, so.
I had a good month.
His job is bourbon.
I wish.
Yeah.
This is a Four Roses barrel strength, but this is actually the OESK 18 and a half year. So if you were lucky enough to do a tour, they did a certain release on tours at Four Roses, and we got to hang with Brent for a little bit. He kind of went through a history of stuff, and we got to drink, and we got to have cookies and like nice like little like a mixed drink. I can't remember even what it was. And then we got to do a tour of Four Roses Distillery, and then we got to go through and do a tasting of this. And it was just honestly a lot of fun. I got to do it with a lot of my friends, which is always extremely helpful. You know, I run with a pretty awesome crew of guys who we collect bourbon, and we go on tours together and do all this fun stuff. And just whenever you're able to do that with those group of guys,
yeah, or
your people that you run with, it always helps.
Yeah, definitely helps.
The cool thing with Brent was super talkative, super cool. Just an overall, I mean, Brent's honestly just like one of us. You know, he's somebody who just really loves great whiskey, and it's just all about the industry. But what's cool is he kind of told us in there that basically we should probably expect more of these types of releases.
This one's easy enough. And funny enough, like, we got some duplicates.
We did.
Because we went to the same thing, or we just happened to be able to get the same release. This is the 117 extra old, and I didn't get this on the online. I was hoping to just get it online so I didn't have to drive down.
I didn't either.
I didn't have to drive down, but I ended up taking my dad on a distillery tour because he had never been to Old Forester, so it was a super good opportunity. We went on this, both got the 2 bottles that you could get, and so the extra old, and it's actually really, really good. Really impressed with it.
Talking about President's Choice, Barrel 27, that was almost lost. That I think was on me, technically.
Yeah, it definitely was on you. I had to go talk to some dude that was a neighbor of my dad's.
So we order, they do a big Black Friday release where they have like President's Choices and 117s. I was lucky enough, I got a President's Choice. I'm shocked. I'll be honest with you guys. I thought it was all going to be done to where I thought the website would either crash or there was no way I was going to be able to do it because I was on my phone. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, crap, I got it. I was super excited. I think I texted you and everything else.
Yeah.
So, because I thought my streak of President's Choices were done.
Yeah.
But whenever I got it, I sent it to the address and everything, and he was going to pick it up for me. And whenever he's like, hey, they don't have it. I'm like, well, it shows it was picked up. And he's like, well, what's the address? And I sent it to him. He's like, that ain't my dad's address.
That is not
my dad's address. I was like, what address is it? He's like, I think it's down the road. And he went and talked to this guy, And the guy's like, yeah, so what is it? Because I assume it's whiskey since it says Old Forester on the box. And I was just like, oh.
He he readily gave it back to me, so that's really nice. So.
Yeah, no, the guy was super cool, super grateful for all of that. It was just kind of one of those things like, oh, crap. So, but at the end of the day, it worked itself out. And honestly, again, I kind of I like the idea. Four Roses does this, and they do it honestly better than anybody, where they're starting to do events. They do big releases, and I like the idea of doing events, big releases, and online stuff. I think that makes it so much more fair for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, I can be selfish and say do it all at the Old Forester Distillery. I live 7 minutes away from there.
Yeah.
So I can be selfish to say that, but I think overall for the betterment of everybody in whiskey, I think this is the best way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
yeah.
Your turn?
I guess we'll do my old, ye old William Heaven Hill.
One of the best bottles released all of last year.
One of the 4, 3. What was it? 3, 4.
4.
It was 4.
4.
Number 4 on our list. Again, Heaven Hill has done really good with their releases as of late. So
they've honestly crushed it all this year.
So they release it, and they let you know they're going to release it. They let you know that there's going to be wristbands to be had.
Well, back up here. For December, they were doing special holiday releases.
Yeah.
And later in the month, and this was one of them that they did.
Yes, yeah. And so they did this 3 different times in the month of...
3 different types of releases.
Yes. Yeah. They did this 3 different times with Parker's, this, and the 19. Old Fitz 19. So, truth be told, on this one, I just thought I was going to miss it because I had to take my son to school. I didn't think I was going to get it. Zach called me and goes, "Listen, man, there's a bunch of wristbands left." And so,
well, here's what's crazy. Whenever I left,
it was like 9 o'clock.
I left after work.
Yeah.
And no, it was before 9 because I left after work.
So I didn't get there till after 9.
Oh, yeah. So I was like 70, 75, and I was like, man, I'm probably pushing it because a lot of those releases...
They used to be small.
They would be between like the 40s and like the upper 60s. And I was like, well, after I leave work, I'm down here for like an hour or whatever, not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'll walk in, they're like, oh, here's your wristband. I was like, man, it's no problem. And he had a fistful of wristbands. Like, I mean, and it was him and another guy giving them out. I was like, all of a sudden, I told the guys who I run with, I told Dave, I was like,
you might want to get down here.
You might want to head down because you have time.
Yeah.
Like, finish eating breakfast and then come down.
So I literally got in line, got my wristband, got in line, waited 20 minutes, and
that works for Dave. He waits 20 minutes.
Waited 20 minutes and got through the line.
He gets one of the bottles of the year.
And got the bottle, which I was really, really happy about.
What was super cool is this bottle lasted for over a day.
Yeah,
they had like 50, I think, something like open the next day.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. All right, next for me, I've went through the Old Forester gamut now. So I mean, the only thing I'm missing is like a 1/50th or like a barrel strength or something.
Yeah, it is true.
So for us locally, a lot of the bigger chains, some, really one, will do like an end of the year kind of like appreciation for loyal customers. And this was one of my kind of end of the year bottles from a store. Said person knew that my daughter was born this year, and they kind of thought like, hey, we know how you kind of take that kind of stuff, like, obviously very special, and how much you like to collect those and have them for whenever your kids are old enough to drink. And so I got a birthday bourbon.
Here you go, Zach. Here's some crappy bourbon.
What was really funny was that person watched my review. Was like, you didn't really like it, and I said, look, here's the understanding. This is just how it is. Whenever I have a kid, birthday bourbon's gonna be bad because I'm gonna collect them and I'm gonna get them for me and my kids to have and enjoy down the road. And it's just how it is. This year's birthday bourbon though will be a hitter because that's how it works.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have a kid. No, that ship has sailed. Sorry, that is not.
I love to see what your wife says about that.
All right. So next on my list, like I said, we had a Heaven Hill month here in the Bourbon Kingdom. So this again was another release. I I had to again wait till my son. I dropped my son off at school.
You'll see a trend with these Heaven Hill releases.
And I got down there. Although I went right after, and it was like 8:15 or something like that. And I got down there, waited in line. I had to wait in line for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done,
a lot more people.
Yeah. But again, a ton. There was a ton of wristbands. Again, just like with the Heaven Hill 15, there were just a ton of wristbands with it.
I had never seen a line at Heaven Hill for a release until this Parker's. I was down all the way wrapped down to the road.
Yeah.
And I was like, there is no... I was like, well, I'm probably good. Because I was thinking I was like 150th.
Yeah.
Or something. And like literally, I was just like, this is nuts. And then whenever they opened, it was like wrapped around the back, or not the back, but on the side over here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is crazy how many people were here. Everybody scored. Literally everybody who went through scored.
Now I'll go ahead and say this. The Old Fits 19 release was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that one actually I had to work. I couldn't.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I got there at like 7 o'clock, and I was about an hour and a half too late, I think. They said by about 5 o'clock. About 5:15, they said,
yeah,
if you got there by then, you got in and got an Old Fits 19. But missed out.
He was so sad he actually made a short about it.
I did. I made a short about it. Was not happy having to stand in the cold and all that stuff. But great bottle.
Also, that Parker's bottle is a monster bottle. It's a great bottle. It's a top 10 bottle for us.
Yep.
All right. My next one is a Ode Rip. This was also another end of the year bottle that I got from a liquor store. It's kind of one of those, again, same premise with the Old Forester birthday bourbon. It's a, appreciative thank you for being a loyal customer and stuff like that. And I was telling Dave, I was like, we got to do a review on it. Like, we just have to.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll be doing one of these soon. I don't know exactly when. We're shooting a ton of videos right now, which is fun.
Yeah.
But we will be doing a review on this. This is a 2022, so
good stuff.
Yeah, I'm always appreciative though. I will say this. Well, actually, I'll say this for one of my last ones I'll do.
Go ahead and do your next whatever's going to be your next one.
Okay. So this is another end of the year allocation, and I'll kind of explain this one a little bit more in detail. So Cox's does a end of the year appreciation where they send out an email to their customers that spent so much money and was like, hey, we're gonna give you all some options on what you would want, and if you want that, you let us know, and if there's something else you might want, you can ask on the list. And this was one of them that was on the list that I could ask for, and I did, and I got it. And let me say this to give total credit to Cox's, they're the only liquor store around here that does anything like that. Like there are like in a massive amount. Like there are some other stores, like smaller ones, like, hey, I got some of this end of the year, like whatever it would be, right? And they'll send that, but they're the only ones that do it on a massive scale. Like all of their stores do it for all their customers. So it's super cool. Very grateful for that. And they kind of set that standard compared to a lot of other stores in our area, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So
super good stuff.
Yeah, plus
y'all
know how I feel. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah. My last one is, and this is for me, it's a momentous occasion because I've never gotten a BTAC in the wild, and I got one this year, which I was really happy about. As a matter of fact, it was funny. I was in line, and I was going down for a tour and kind of went around and saw that Nulu had people in line. And when you see a liquor store that has people in line...
That's my store. Yeah. That's the store I always go to.
That's his store that he goes to. And
hey, Dave, was I in line at that store?
No, you were not.
Where was I at, Dave?
He was working.
I was working.
He was working. So I texted Zach and I was like, Zach, is something going on down here? And he was like, well, I don't know, you might want to stay. I was like, all right, well, I'll stay. I'll get some coffee and I'll stay. And so in line, happened to be in line right behind some friends, some people who are bourbon friends of Zach's too. And so we get through the line, and the guy in front of me takes this. He takes the Thomas H. Handy. And I grabbed a birthday bourbon.
Yeah.
And he looked and he was like, man, I probably should have taken the birthday bourbon. I was like, well, listen, dude, I've never actually been able to buy a BTAC at a store for, a normal price. And so I'll trade you right now, and we can just we'll switch before we go to checkout. And he's like, all right, let's do that. So we switched, and I got my first ever BTAC. So I'm super excited about it, even though it's fitting that it is the rye. And, but I didn't really care. It looks really cool on my bourbon cart, sure. And I'm super stoked about it. Sure. So really happy with that.
All right, my last one, and we still don't know if we're gonna be able to do a video over it, and if we are, we'll do it in a whole lot greater detail, and Dave can just edit a lot of this stuff out.
Yeah.
But this last one is I got all these bottles from the said same place, which is Holiday on the Hill, which is hosted by Heaven Hill. It is.
I'm so disappointed.
It is without question, the best event that goes on in all of Bourbon in Kentucky. If there's some other events that can compete that are really nice, but whenever it comes from a fan standpoint, from a consumer, I love bourbon standpoint, Heaven Hill absolutely crushes it. Basically, what they do is they do a big taste, or they have multiple tastings going on, and you get into it and you get to try. Like in my tasting I got to try both these Old Fitzes. An Elijah Craig 18-year, and I think that was it. And then you had the option to buy everything you tried. Well, originally in my tasting, and let me give Heaven Hill, and I'm going to give Heaven Hill a big shout out on this. In my tasting, it was originally supposed to be the Heaven Hill Select Stock Toasted, which is basically, like, to me, it's like an Elijah Craig barrel proof toasted. Like, it's awesome. It's one of my favorite, like, little Heaven Hill Select Stocks. They switched it up by accident at the tasting. Well, because they made the mistake, they said, hey, we're sorry, we want to honor those bottles for them over there, and we won't have enough. So as an apology, we want to offer you guys the William Heaven Hill 15-year.
No, we're sorry we gave you we're sorry we gave away that bottle and gave you an awesome bottle.
So
sorry.
It was one of those. And I was sitting next to my buddy, and my buddy Dwight, he's like, man, you actually look like really sad. And I was like, I'm really sad that Heaven Hill Select Stock isn't here, because it's such a dang good bottle. Like, it's an awesome bottle. But then whenever they said this, like, I was like, all is forgiven. All is good. All is super cool. Yeah. And because of that mistake, I joked around because somebody, the other group got the Heaven Hill Select Stock, and not the, Elijah Craig 18-year, which kind of, out of everything that was offered, that was probably the least wanted bottle.
Yeah.
And then they basically, like, we had to kind of take that one, and then the other two groups got offered the exact same bottles as a mistake too, because they wanted to try to make it right with everybody. So it was kind of a crazy thing that happened, but this was like this sweet little bonus that we all got, and it was super cool. But I got an Old Fitz 17 and an Old Fitz 16 as well, which still amazes me that Old Fitz 16 is still around.
Yeah.
And they must have made just about 30 million gallons of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's...
Tell us what your whiskey haul looked like this month. We'd love to know. We'd love to hear what you got. And until the next time, we'll see you.
See ya.